Good morning, YouTube. How you doing? Kevin here, coming at you. Wanted to do a little bit of talking with you guys and share with you. I got a lot of comments, so I want to address a lot of these comments. And I get these both on the forum and on. You might not see them on YouTube, but I get them from people asking me who actually watch my videos, but they're not on the what do you call it there, subscriber list yet. They don't even have their own YouTube account. So I wanted to address all these questions because I know it's on the minds of many people. So anyway, I selected my carburetor today. I'm going with a 26 millimeter carburetor from a what you call it there, the same one used on the KX 85 and the KX 100s. It's a 26 millimeter carburetor in the same style intake as used on the what do you call it there? Oh, the KX60, but it doesn't have the manual choke. It's got the choke that you pull up, like the ones that are on here, because I'm gonna have to run a cable or actually redo the boot. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys about this because you can get. I'm only going so far with the performance on these. All right, and I'm gonna explain to you what I mean by that. Is I get one of my questions was asked, how come you're not porting the jug? Okay, so your jug is right here. People refer to this as a jug or the cylinder or a barrel. Depends upon where you're from. And if you look at how big the ports are on all the transfer ports, and then you look at the diameter of the intake, you can't change this diameter. So no matter how much you port this, you're really not going to get much out of it. I also was asked a question about the rotary valve that's in here that opens. Am I going to change the timing on the rotary valve? What that means is you would pull the rotary valve out and it's got a cut open on it, and you can actually cut a little bit more of it and get a longer intake. And the reason why I'm not doing that to this is because I'm not changing the stroke. Okay, so there's a couple of things I am not changing on this bike. I am not changing, you can't change the diameter of the intake. If this was a two-stroke with reed valves, then you can change the reed valve out and put an intake that has a bigger diameter. You can run a bigger carburetor, you can change your timing and all that. You can't on this. This is fixed, you're married to it. You can't change the reed valve, not the reed valve. You can't put the change the rotary valve. You can't, nobody makes a crankshaft for it that would stroke it any different than what it is. So you're stuck with the stroke, you're stuck with the rotary valve, and you're stuck with the, what do you call it there, the length of the stroke in the transfer ports. So even if you open them up, you're only going to get what you can put through here. Okay? Now, I am doing performance stuff. I actually put a bigger piston in that can suck more air and fuel volume through that intake. And I'm going to show you why that's important and why that is going to work on this and not changing this out and changing the diameters. Okay, so I told you on my last video when I was doing the exhaust that we're being robbed. I showed you the inside of the exhaust and I showed you what it looks like in there, and it is just, you're being robbed of horsepower on this bike. And with everything, it always goes in two parts. Okay, remember that, two parts to every part. You have your intake and you have your exhaust. Okay, the intake and exhaust are matched. Keep that in mind when you're doing these. This bike has already been balanced. It's already been, you know, this is how we're going to set it up. This is what we're going to use and make it work. Okay, so what you put in is what you get out. And I keep telling you guys that, and I want you guys to understand that you're being robbed on horsepower on these little bikes. So, alright, so anyway, let's talk about the carburetor. And the carburetor right here, I haven't got the new one in yet, but I want to talk to you guys about, this is the air horn. I said this on my last video. See how small that diameter is? Okay, it's about the size of a penny or a nickel. And then you go on the back side, you have a bigger part, and then it's blocked out. Okay, the new carburetor has a rubber boot that goes over it and utilizes the whole boot. The air horn in the front is much bigger. Okay, the hole is much bigger. It's about the size, almost the diameter of a quarter. which is about the diameter of that. Okay, so now I can change this carburetor, this little crappy carburetor, out and put a performance carburetor in, and I'm going to be able to push maximum air through that intake right there, which is the idea. My goal for this bike, without blowing it up, is to put as much air and fuel into that intake, okay, to get as much fuel and air on top of that piston as I possibly can, compress it as tight as I can into the smallest chamber, fire it with extreme accuracy, and then blow it out this pipe. Okay, so that's how you make horsepower. That's the key to making horsepower. Now, these engines do not have adjustable timing. Okay, the timing is fixed. This is not a CDI box. A CDI box can retard and advance the timing automatically, depending upon load conditions, driving conditions, and all that, and where the engine's at. This is a fixed. This is basically like a lawnmower. Okay, it is fixed. It doesn't move. It doesn't advance. It doesn't retard. It stays the same. So, porting and polishing it, or you can polish the head. This is my jug is polished, or barrel or cylinder is polished. Okay, I just polished it. I did not port it. Port it means you make the ports bigger. Polishing is, this is my grill, you make it nice and smooth. Okay, making it smooth will help you. Okay, that I recommend. However, porting them and making them bigger, it's not going to do you any good because of that hole right there, that intake. All right, so keep that in mind. What you put in is what you get out. It's that simple. So I'm fabricating the exhaust. I haven't got to weld it up yet, but I want to show you what I'm doing. Okay. Expansion chambers are a must when you're doing a performance engine because they deliver a shoot ton of horsepower. A shoot ton. Okay, so you want a crap ton of horsepower. A shoot ton. Alright, so I'm going to move this bike over here to show you what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it. Okay, and this is going to be pretty cool. You guys are going to love this. This expansion chamber is actually going to sit, oh, I got to move the pipe back like that, yep. It's going to sit right there on the bike. Okay, it's going to be down, this is going to be down further. Hold on 1 second. I have to, you know, but it's basically going to be up to where that curve is. Then, from there back, take you for a walk. We're going to go Suzuki style on it. Staying all Japanese, people, all Japanese. But I'm giving you guys the gist of it anyway. Okay? Sorry about my mess. I got projects up the yin yang. Okay, you can see how this pipe right here comes off the what do you call it there? The expansion chamber, and comes all the way back to the silencer. And that's kind of what the silencer is going to look like. It's going to be a little different, a little bigger, but that's basically what it's going to look like. It's going to have the rubber boot like that, and the pipe going all the way to the front. So that's how the bike is going to be. I was going to use an aftermarket silencer with it, but I can't seem to find one that will work for my application that I want to use. I don't want to look like a newer bike because the bike has a classic look to it. So what I'm looking for is, I was going to use this style right here, muffler, and these things are just cheap. They look cheap, they feel cheap, they are just cheap, but they're nice and lightweight. But the other ones are too. So to have that in the back there, it's just not going to be, it's too tacky for the bike. That's like taking something off of like a 2015 or something and putting it on. Especially for the type of silencer that look, you know, for the type of expansion chamber. If I had the newer style expansion chambers, where the whole thing is nice and fat and it flows out and comes up and around, yeah, then I would. But I kind of want to keep the old style look of the bike. And I think that's doing it this way is the way to do it. So, but yeah, that's where my head's at, guys. We're going to use, I'll show you what else I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this end of the heat shield right here and tack weld on the side here of the post where the screw would mount onto it, and kind of I might use the straighter part because it's kind of straighter. I don't exactly know how I'm gonna do that. I might cut the curve like where it's straight and kind of weld it into that one, do the body work and make it look like a custom. It's gonna look custom, so it's not gonna be just looking like that. I wish it could, but I need a heat shield for my leg. So the exhaust is going to be shielded as well, double shielded. But that's the plan anyway. So I wanted to show you guys. And like I said, these things have electronic ignition, so the timing is fixed. There's no CDI box, so we're kind of running at what we're at. But after seeing the airflow that I can put through this bike and come out of this bike, I'm actually up in the ante. I'm going to try for 20 horse. I think this is going to be 21 horse. I think I can double the power on this bike. But we're going to do a fun thing is after the whole bike is done, the bike is painted all together and it's at its full weight. After that's all said and done, after everything is done, the bike is complete, all the details are done, we're going to run the 52 sprocket. I'm going to take 2 Kawasaki's with me, an actual Ke100 with the 42 as it sits, electronic ignition, same, the factory carburetor. We're going to take it to the dyno and have it dyno tested, and this is all going to be on video too, by the way. And then we're going to do the taking my 102 with me, and we're going to see what we get. And when they do the dyno testing, it's rear wheel horsepower. Keep that in mind, rear wheel horsepower. So your sprockets are going to change all that. But we're going to see what we're going to get, because I know I can get this bike to move. I know I can get this thing to move. So we still have to do, I still got to finish off the modifications on the exhaust. But that's what the chamber is going to look like. And it's going to come up to about here. Then the pipe is going to run straight back to the muffler. And that's going to be awesome. And then we're going to do we're going to change the spark plug. We're not going to use an iridium plug because the ignition doesn't have that type of output. But we are going to use an NGK Platinum plug with it as well. I think I can get brighter spark with the Platinum. Not a double Platinum, just a Platinum plug. I guess what I'm trying to say is, no matter what you do to this bike, it's still going to be a cheap low-end bike. However, you can take these bikes and make them a little bit more than they were intended for. Okay, this bike is a light-duty trail bike. It's not a heavy-duty trail bike. It's got the light-duty shocks in the back and front. They're great bikes, but they're not intended for what we're going to make them intended to. For instance, like the KX series, the KX 60, 65, 85, and the 100s will whip this bike's butt. However, there is no reason why we can't take this little bike and give it one heck of a run for its money. So keep that in mind. We're going to be changing the rear style of the shocks. It's going to be air shocks in the back, air shocks in the front. They're going to be KX style in the front, motocross in the back, old school motocross. We're going to change the front rim. We're going to be using the KX 100 rim with the disc brakes. It's going to have disc brakes in the front. It's going to have the drum in the back, which is the way it should be. Yeah, we have a lot to do. We're going to use rail. I'm not actually sure which ones I was going to go with, Rethel or forgot the other name. I was looking at for handlebars, but we're going to be changing out the handlebars. We're going to be doing some performance stuff. So I might even go with the KX, the factory KX handlebars. I'm not trying to make a KX out of this, just so you guys know. But that particular bike happens to have some great stuff on it, and we're going to see if we can't utilize some of it on this bike. So I would like for this bike to at least keep up to a KX 65, because there is no way right now that it will. A KX 65 would beat this thing so badly, it'd be crying for its mother. So, having ridden both, I know. But these are a great bike, and we're going to get some power out of it. We're going to make a little power plant. We're going to take this 11 and boost it big time. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. This is Tech Talk on the Ke102 build. I ordered the carburetor today. I'm still waiting for other stuff to come in. So, like I said, I'm doing the videos as they come. I just wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about the, you know, about the bike and where it's headed and all that. I'm gonna do another video when the carburetor comes in, and I'm gonna do a instructional video on how I set up the new carburetor, because I know there's a lot of you guys who are going to be wanting to do the this exhaust modification. So I'm going to, as I'm doing the modification, I'm going to get you guys a parts list, and I'm going to get all that stuff for you when I'm done, as opposed to piecemealing it. This way you guys will know the length of pipe, how I bent it, how I cut it, what I used, tools, everything to come up with this system. And then you guys can take it from there. You guys might even have better ideas than I do. So if you guys see something I'm working on this 102 and you have an idea, please throw it my way. I may not have thought about it, so I could use that extra help. Look at this, see the gap right there? The gap between the head and the coolant fin. We need to keep that gap with that. So the air gap, very important. But I mean, yeah, I want to make sure that when we're doing these, that we can get the most power out of this bike. Look at that air horn. Look at my down even my finger. It's just it's slow. That's the restrictor. You hear a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, it's probably got a restrictor plate." They don't use restrictor plates. Those can easily be removed. What they do is they cast them right into the carb. They're like, "Oh, we want a little light duty bike. We're gonna put little air through it, little exhaust, emissions friendly, you know, exhaust friendly, EPA friendly, catalytic converter friendly." I'm surprised this thing doesn't have an air pump and a cat. I really am. So this little bike has potential. Has a lot of potential. It has a high rev limit. It's got a lot of potential to be something great. The transmission's good on them. They're nice little 5 speeds. They've got, it's cool, the kickstart, they look old. They came with, these motors didn't come with any option. So any option we do to these are gonna have to be custom designed. There's no performance, I found an electronic ignition kit that you can put on this bike. But if you put the electronic ignition kit on the bike, you lose all your electric for your lights and stuff. So what the hell's not good? What's good about that? Yeah, I've seen them on. They get them on eBay. They got a universal electronic ignition kit. It's a CDI. It uses a CDI box from a scooter. And keep this in mind. It's the same CDI box used on the 4-stroke scooters. So how the hell is it going to know the ignition timing to say this? They're different. They're not in the same spot. So keep that in mind. You gotta read between the lines. They can paint the orange and call it a high performance. So, and it's not high performance. It's a regular basic ignition system. It's no better than the one you have already factory in the bike, so why would you change it? You know? And these ones right here, you don't have all that extra wiring. These are basically maintenance-free, trouble-free, basic ignition systems. They've got a pickup down bottom and a coil with the, what do you call it here, all the crap built into it. So you don't need to change anything. There's no CDI box. You have your coil and a mag. That's it. The other one, you got the coil, the mag, the CDI box, and a whole mess of wiring. This just has one wire going down to the coil, from the coil to the mag. That's it. That kills it right there, and it goes up to one other wire goes up to your ignition. That's it, basic. So, what do you call it there? It's that's pretty much it. So, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, any ideas, any what do you call it? If you have any ideas for like a grate, what I'm looking for right now is I'm looking for ideas. I'm looking for help with coming up with a design for a heat shield for this. But the goal is to keep it. See how this looks old school? When you see this exhaust, you're like, wow, that thing is awesome. That's old school. Okay, it looks awesome. It's not awesome, as we all seen from my video, but we want it to look awesome. And then the expansion chamber, I wanted the expansion chamber to be like the newer bikes, but not to the bubble effect. You know what I mean? So this will sit right there and look pretty damn badass. So, and then it'll come up, and then the pipe will come off the top, right off the top, and hook out, you know. So, and then it'll run straight back and go around the spring and then out the back. Which I have to order my shocks before I finish off that, because the new shocks have a little chamber on them for air. So, gotta get that part done. One thing keys the other. Man, I'm so tired. I've been working on this thing for a while now. Anyway, thank you guys for watching again. Every time I say that, I keep coming up with something else I want to tell you guys. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. I love the support. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Peace out.